Chichen Itza, the city that measured the heavens. Arrival in Yucatan. The air was dense with heat and the scent of earth. Adrian stepped off the bus in the heart of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, where the jungle met the sky and time moved to a rhythm all its own. He stood beneath tall ceiba trees, sacred in Mayan belief as bridges between the underworld and the heavens. This was not a modern city. This was a place where voices still whispered through stone. He had come to Chichen Itza, one of the most renowned cities of the ancient Maya, astronomers, architects, warriors, and poets of time. As he passed through the gates into the archaeological park, he felt it immediately. Not silence, not noise, something in between. A memory that never quite fades. The temple that counts the days. There it stood. El Castillo, also known as the Temple of Cuculcán, rose above the jungle clearing like a perfect pyramid. Adrian stared in awe, with its 4 stairways, each with 91 steps, and the final platform at the top. It added to 365, the number of days in a solar year. This was not coincidence. His design. Every spring and autumn equinox, the sunlight cast serpent-shaped shadows down the steps, an illusion of Kukulkan, the feathered serpent deity, descending from the sky to earth. Adrian slowly climbed the base. Though climbing the structure was now restricted, he imagined what it once meant to stand atop that sacred peak, between earth and sky, offering prayers in rhythm with the stars. He wrote in his notebook, "This is not a temple, it is a calendar, carved in stone, and aligned with heaven. The ball court and the echoes of ritual." Nearby lay the Great Ball Court, the largest in Mesoamerica. Adrian walked its 166-meter length, his footsteps echoing faintly against the high stone walls. At each end, vertical stone rings hung above, through which a heavy rubber ball was once passed in a sacred game. But this was no sport. For the Maya, the ball game was ritual, a metaphor for cosmic struggle. The ball moved like the sun between the realms. Victory and death were part of the same eternal cycle. Legends said that sometimes the winners were sacrificed, not as punishment, but as a gift, an honor. Adrian placed his hand on the cold wall and whispered to the stone, "Not all endings are loss. Some are offerings. Some are doors." The sacred cenote. A path led Adrian toward a shimmering sinkhole, a wide, deep pool encircled by limestone walls. This was the cenote sagrado, or sacred well. It was more than a source of water. It was a portal. Offerings had been cast into its depths: jade, gold, ceramics, and human lives. Archaeologists had retrieved the bones of men, women, and children. To the Maya, cenotes were entrances to Xibalba, the underworld. Adrian sat at the edge, looking into the dark, silent water. The jungle buzzed around him, but here the air felt still. To reach the gods, sometimes we must descend. Even paradise has a doorway beneath. Astronomy in stone. That evening, Adrian stood before El Caracal, the observatory. Its circular tower, unusual among Maya structures, had windows aligned with celestial events, the solstices, the path of Venus, the rising of certain stars. The Maya tracked Venus with near-perfect accuracy, using only the sky, memory, and stone. Adrian imagined the priest astronomers watching the stars from here, predicting eclipses, planting by the moon, celebrating with fire. The universe to them was not a mystery to conquer, but a pattern to live by. He wrote, "Me didn't measure the stars to escape the world, but to live in it more deeply. The sky was not above. It was within, whispers of a vanished city, As the sun dipped behind the jungle canopy, casting long golden shadows over the ruins, Adrian sat near a cluster of weather-worn columns, what was once the temple of the warriors. Once this had been a thriving city, home to tens of thousands. Traders brought goods from faraway coasts, priests read omens in the stars, children played in courtyards, now overtaken by grass. But the city fell. No one knows precisely why. Drought, internal unrest, environmental collapse, or perhaps a slow unraveling of the sacred order. Adrian walked slowly among the columns. Each felt like a frozen footstep, not erased, just paused. Greatness doesn't always vanish in flame. Sometimes it fades like dusk. Quietly and without resentment. Nightfall and stars remembered. That night, Adrian chose not to return to town. With permission from a local guide, he set up a simple hammock near the edge of the site, beyond the public trail. The sounds of civilization faded into the background. Above him, the stars emerged, clearer than he had seen in months. In ancient times, the Maya had believed a Milky Way was a celestial river. The constellations were not just in the sky. They were mirrored in temples and plazas, aligned to tell stories. Even now, some villagers still told tales that the gods traveled by starlight, and that dreams were born from the silence between constellations. Lying there, Adrian thought of the people who once lived here, not just kings and priests, but farmers, artisans, children. He thought of the quiet dignity of civilizations that leave behind stone but take their voices with them. He opened his notebook and wrote, "Be measured time not with machines, but with shadow and flame, with maize and moon, with patience." And even now, the stars still pass through Chichen Itza, as if to remember what once was, the path out of the jungle. In the morning, the jungle stirred around him. Howler monkeys calling in the distance, parrots screeching above, dew glistening on vines. Adrian gathered his things and walked once more past El Castillo, its edges glowing in the morning light. Tourists had not yet arrived. For a brief moment, the city belonged again to the stone and the sky. He paused by a small, partially excavated temple, its carvings barely visible beneath moss. A serpent's head, worn but proud, still stared toward the east. He placed a hand gently on the stone. "You do not need to be whole to endure. The memory is enough. And you are remembered." Epilogue. A map of light and time. Back in Merilla, Adrian sat at a quiet cafe, his map spread before him. 6 places now marked, each not just a location, but a transformation. He sipped his coffee, looked down at the sunlit street, and then wrote one final line for the Maya. Chichen Itza was not buried. It was woven into time, into stars, into us.